Greetings. Well, thank you for joining me here today. Mark Twain thanks you. Samuel Clemens thanks you. And Randy Milligan as well. It usually takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare a good impromptu speech, but I'll try to do my best. Welcome to my 70th birthday. 70 years old. Age is just an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. I've achieved my 70 years the usual manner by sticking strictly to a scheme of life that would kill anybody else. The maxim is you cannot reach old age by another man's road. However, I am willing to offer my scheme of life to whomsoever desires to commit suicide by the same way that has allowed me to beat the doctor, the hangman, the undertaker for 70 years. In the matter of diet, well, the secret to a successful life is to eat what you like. Let the food fight it out inside. For more than 30 years, I've taken nothing more than coffee, bread at 8 in the morning, not another bite nor sup till 7:30 in the evening. Over 11 hours without food. Now, that is right for me, but perhaps not for you. Most people could not reach 70 comfortably by that road, and they would be foolish to try it. If you can't make 70 any other way but an uncomfortable road, don't go. Instead of eating, I like to smoke. Yes, I've always made it a rule never to smoke more than one cigar at a time, and never to smoke when asleep, and never to refrain when awake. I smoke in bed before I have to go to sleep, and when I wake up in the night, sometimes once, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, and I never waste any of those opportunities to smoke. It is a habit that is old and dear and precious to me. As for drinking, well, I have no rules about that. When others drink, I like to help out. Otherwise, I'm dry by preference and habit. Sometimes too much to drink. It's barely enough. And I've never taken much exercise in my life, except for resting, sleeping. I don't intend to take any either. Exercise is loathsome, cannot be of any benefit when you are tired, and I am always tired. To me, the game of golf, which is supposed to be good exercise, nothing more than a good walk spoiled. But, as I said, cannot reach old age by another man's road. Now, my habits protect my life, but they could assassinate you. And be careful about reading health books. You could die of a misprint. Now, I've lived a long, long time on this old globe of ours. Coming in with Halley's Comet back in 1835, and living long enough almost to see it come around again, which I hope I do. It does it every 75 years. I was born in Florida, Missouri, that is, when the population of that town was 100. So, with my birth, I was able to increase the population by 1%. which is a mighty great achievement for a newborn babe, don't you think? My father, John, he was a lawyer, later a judge. My mother, Jane, she was a dancer who had a wonderful sense of humor. She made me laugh all the time, even at the most serious matters. When I got pulled out of the old Mississippi River for the third time as a boy, having nearly drowned all 3 times, she looked at me with the greatest confidence in my future, and she said, "Sammy, my boy, you don't need to worry, son. Anybody who is born to be hanged is perfectly safe in the water." She was right, too. I had some mighty fine adventures on that old river. One of the greatest achievements of my life was when I became a riverboat captain, fulfilled my greatest childhood dream. And I was a damn fine captain, too. I was respected up and down that river. I knew all its secrets, its channels and currents, its depths and hazards. But after my younger brother Henry was killed in a boiler explosion on a boat that I was supposed to be commanding, but got bumped at the last minute to another boat, I lost all my joy piloting that river. Then the Civil War broke out, making navigation impossible with all the blockades, and when I nearly got shot trying to land in St. Louis, well, I figured it was time to move on, even though being a riverboat captain had been my greatest ambition in the world at the time. Well, luckily, my older brother, Orion, he was friends with President Lincoln, and he was in good standing with the Republican Party, so they appointed him as the first Secretary of State of the Western Territory of Nevada. And he invited me to go along as his personal secretary, which I did. And we set up the first territorial legislature, divided that territory into cities, counties, drawn borders every which way, but government work just wasn't respectable enough for me, so I ran off the hills of California like everyone else, became prospector, hunting for silver, gold. Well, unfortunately, nothing panned out for me. Oh, except my frog story that I heard and later published. Jumping Frog of Calaveras County. That gave me a little notoriety. It made me a journalist again. See, as a boy, I'd helped my older brother Orion print and write his newspaper. That's when I chose my first pen name. Thomas Jefferson Snodgrass. Later, I wrote as Josh, the Nevada newspapers, joshing a lot of people, politicians. And finally, I found Mark Twain. Changed my life forever. Mark Twain comes from my riverboat days, means deep water and safe passage for any boat. I finally found a language and a style that was unique and concise, authoritative and energetic, with just a hint of wit. Wit, you see, is the sudden marriage of ideas which before their union were not perceived to have had a relationship at all. Problem was that I created a character everyone wanted to use. Hard enough to try to protect my copyrights on my writing, but trying to protect a stage character was impossible. So I had to become Mark Twain all the time. And if anyone would publish under the Mark Twain name or present themselves on stage as Mark Twain, why, we'd take them to court. We wouldn't sue them over copyright infringement. Instead, we'd sue them over trademark infringement. See, the idea of a pen name used as a trademark had never been tested in the courts. So we did, and we were awarded a $20,000 settlement and sole rights to the use of the Mark Twain name. But that stage character, uncontrollable. My reluctance to tour as Twain, because it was just so exhausting, allowed others to play him like it was some stock character out of some theatrical repertoire like Hamlet or Oedipus. But not only did I have to battle actors and writers over my trademarks and copyrights, I had to battle publishers as well. Newspapers were constantly claiming that they owned my works because they'd paid me for them. And if I wanted to use them again, I was going to have to pay them. So as a result, I bought into a publishing company, American publishing company, so I could enjoy some of the publisher's profits as well as my own author's royalties. But it didn't matter much anyway, because once a book or an article was printed, it was easily copied and sold in unauthorized pirated editions. That's what happened to Tom Sawyer. Some of those pirates got a hold of an early manuscript and flooded the country with their cheap copies so that by the time our illustrations were finished and our editions were released, they barely sold at all. But it was as a publisher that I was able to negotiate with former President Ulysses S. Grant for his memoirs. He was dying of throat cancer at the time, so we weren't quite certain that he would live long enough to finish, but I felt it was my destiny to publish his work. And I do believe that that was the greatest achievement of my life. Oh, I'm proud of my books, Innocents Abroad, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, of course, Life on the Mississippi, and Connecticut Yankee, Pudd'nhead Wilson, Joan of Arc. Now, my mother used to tell me there's a big difference between achievement and success. Achievement is the knowledge that you have studied, worked hard, and done the best that is in you. Success, on the other hand, is other people praising you. It's nice, but it's not as satisfying or as important. She always told me to strive for achievement, not worry about success. And I do believe publishing President Grant's memoirs was a great achievement, one that would have made my mother proud. Well, the only family I have left now is my daughter Clara. My only son, Langdon, he was born premature, died 18 months later. My oldest daughter, Susie, she died unexpectedly of spinal meningitis while we were away on a world tour. My youngest daughter, Jean, she drowned in a bathtub after one of her many epileptic seizures. And my dear wife, Livy, she died peacefully on the Mediterranean while I played the piano and sang some of our favorite spirituals. That the newspapers even reported that I was close to death, to which I replied, "The report of my death has been greatly exaggerated." And with that, Mark Twain was alive again, making people laugh. See, laughter is mankind's greatest medicine. Moment it appears, all of our hardnesses yield, our irritations and resentments just melt away and are replaced by this sunny spirit. Human beings have one really effective weapon in this world, and that is laughter. And I've tried to use it to the best of my ability all my life. But now, a few years I have left, no longer a great concern for me. I'd like to live long enough to see Halley's Comet, make it a nice circle of life, and I have to decide where I'm headed, heaven or hell. Both places have their advantages. Heaven for the climate, hell for the company. But know that in the center of your heart, in the center of my heart, there is this wireless station. And so long as it receives messages of beauty, love, hope, cheer, courage, power from men and women and children and the infinite, so long are we young. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by those things you didn't do than by what you did. So throw off your bow lines. Sail away from safe harbor. Catch those winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover. We Americans bear the ark of liberties for the entire world. In this country, we are free to be whatever we desire to be. So take advantage of it. Be grateful for it. Well, I'm very pleased that you have joined me here today. Shows that you still keep me in your remembrance, and I appreciate that, but I am 70 years old now, and find it's time that I should nestle in my chimney corner and smoke my pipe and read some books, make a little music, and take my rest. Here's hoping that when you reach pier number 70 in your life, that you are able to step aboard your waiting ship with a reconciled spirit and chart your course toward the setting sun with a contented heart. The fear of death only follows the fear of life. Anyone who has lived their life fully is prepared to die at any time. Two most important days of your life: the day you were born and the day you find out why. So, Mark Twain, all is clear. Move ahead. And remember, history never repeats itself, but it often rhymes. So, farewell to you all. Farewell.